In the beginning, there was no shape or form. Before the word as kinetic energy, there was all only potential in the midst of darkness. Our best approach towards personifying said abyss is water. And in the midst of the mist, it is written that God said in his maturity, a word. God said, let there be light. And there was light. He then made the earth separate from the waters. And being that we share all of the elements of the earth, we can then call ourselves earth. This is the beginning. This is the original manifestation through words, things, becoming things from thought. Welcome, greetings to another step in our journey. This is the build. I will now bring in Brother Eli. If he is ready, please give me a head nod or cue. If he is not, then we will wait for a time. This journey is not without its difficulties. We try to bring you in so that we can hear you.
Brother Mike, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I can't hear you. I can't hear you, but the show go on. When you get it, I'm gonna do the introduction and then I'm gonna reboot. But I had the Bluetooth plan, but greetings everybody. And of course we always have challenges that is guaranteed, but that have no excuse for because the show must go on. And I hope and pray everybody is doing well. So again, blessings. The words we are expressing freely are not meant to offend anyone. Our words are not meant to be in any competition with anyone else's wisdom. Your wisdom and understanding is yours alone. We are choosing to remain consecrated while being in a furnace of affliction, the burning bush. And again, we're going to go to one of our other favorites. Conquering ignorance is essential. Nobody is born wise, and a person has to make serious efforts to develop the qualities needed to be able to speak and achieve Mayat without falling into the twin traps of vanity and greed. Now, we hope and pray we can be like the Egyptian sage who portrays himself a vigilant heart, a plain tongue, capable of satisfying God and the gods, because his or hers entire existence rests on knowledge and not on belief. Now we have to remember also the human element was and is the most crucial factor in any government, even in the home. People are capable of great good and great evil. In the ancient Kemetic book of Two Ways, it says that the causes of wrongdoing are ignorance and immaturity. So, with that beautiful introduction, I hope and pray the words that we express dealing with water will sprinkle some joy in life and understanding to your amazing day.
This is a check of the microphone to see if you can hear me, if I am audible. Can you hear me? As Eli has mentioned, this journey does not come without its obstacles. It does not, it will not ever be without obstacles. It is very important that we understand that those obstacles are not things that are meant to deter us. They are meant to make us more determined, to bring forth our message, to test our strength and resolve, and to extend in gratitude for the blessing of experience of said obstacle, because it shows us what we can achieve despite the obstacle. Eli ever so eloquently expresses our disclaimer in a way that if you pay attention and listen to it every time with mindfulness, you will get something even more dynamic in the message every time it is heard. In the beginning, our beginning ritual about how existence as we know it has been created and depicted literally through said books of understanding. That the abyss can best be described in our three dimensions as water. Because it is without shape or form. It is with volume in this dimension, but in the abyss it was not. So then comes the idea of water becoming its container. Water being anything, engulfing, embodying any and everything that fills it up. Water, if given a cup, fills up the cup and it becomes the cup. Tr1umph, also known as Bruce Lee, has been known and documented to say the saying, "Be water, my friends." You put water into a pot, it becomes the pot. You put water into a teacup, it becomes the teacup. It's all about adaptation despite limitation, boundary, or the illusion of such in these dimensions. That is what be water means. Now, for a more scientific perspective, we are almost completely water. All of the blood in our body, mostly water. The bones included contain oxygen and hydrogen atoms and are fortified through mineral, calcium, magnesium. Our joints, the same. We understand that water can be affected, its molecular structure can be altered by the incantations of audible blessings and curses. You can literally change the composition of water based upon positive affirmations and by abusive cursings upon it. I say that because over the years, the eons even, we have both blessed and have cursed our molecular structure by actions and environment that we allow ourselves to remain in. These can be thought of as obstacles. These can be thought of as tests. However, these obstacles and tests, more often than not, are things that we place upon ourselves. If we understand that any and everyone is merely a reflection of itself, then it is self-inducive that we bring about both healing and toxic behavior. And it manifests as it becomes more and more dense into the lower frequencies, vibrations, and dimensions, as things like acid rain, pollution of the land and air. I want to bring forth to your attention an excerpt from an article that was shared with me via Eli. that states that rainwater almost everywhere on earth is considered unsafe to drink. It is imbued with what is called forever chemicals. Per and polyfluoroalkyl surface, per and polyfluoroalkyl surfaces, PFAS. They are a large family of human-made chemicals that do not occur in nature. They are known as forever chemicals because they don't break down in the environment. The article continues. They have non-stick or stain repellent properties, can be found in household items like food packaging, electronics, cosmetics, and cookware. How many of us use Teflon items? How many of us use non-stick pans? How many of us use makeup products? How many of us utilize this on a daily basis upon our own bodies, into our own vessels, thus creating the toxicity from the byproducts it provides for the environment? Do not think that I am speaking about this as a means to make a guilt trip for anyone. That is not my intention. My intention is something on the other end of the spectrum. Us, we, in the human experience, which is thought of to be very finite, have in essence, though destructive, have created what is called a forever chemical. I want you to break down what I'm saying to you. We created chemicals that are forever. We've created forever in something that does not die. So then, if everything that can be created is doomed to be destroyed, who is to say that the idea of forever chemicals cannot be made finite, cannot be turned into something else, transmogrified into something less enough of a problem where we can continue the ingestion, the absorption of it freely? Or even, is this even true? Now, hear me out on this one. Very personal experience. There was a time when I could not afford spring water, water in bottles, and had to depend upon the water of the land. Tap water, rain water. Would literally take a bottle of nothing, an empty bottle, stand them side by side when it rained, allowed the rain to go into the bottles, disperse them into these bottles, carry them with me and use certain agents that would allow me to make those things drinkable. One of the things is none other than baking soda. Sodium bicarbonate is a base, is an antacid, which then takes the acidity out of water. Now, though the sodium part is not necessarily that pleasing to the palate, let me assure you, when you are thirsty enough, you will drink whatever water you can afford. My wife, of whom believed that the only means towards accumulating locks would be from a naturopathic means, would save rain water whenever it rained. And the only time for the first 2 years of her journey towards the development of locks in her hair, she would only wash her hair with this rainwater. And every once in a while, we would save the rainwater and have her use it upon her hair. The evidence shows that her hair still is full and healthy, continues to be fortified, is coarse, strong. And that despite the once in a while plunder where I am reminded by Eli to take my zinc and my medications, my naturopathic approaches towards maintaining my wellness, I have been still well. This is a means for you to question who you believe is your authority when it says something is healthy and unhealthy. These are the same people who, in the 1940s and 50s, had advertisements of physicians smoking cigarettes and saying that it was safe to take in as a means to prevent cancer, as a means to prevent respiratory diseases, cessation of any sort. This is the same system that will place fluoride into the water that is considered of use to children, to infants, to your babies, and then have you proceed to place in a highly powderized, pasteurized soy concoction to replace the Al Shaddai from your own teats for your children. This is the same business who thinks that you still in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, hundreds, even if you are that lucky, to still ingest the milk of animals. Despite the fact that there is medical proof and evidence that after the age of 5, you do not break down lactose into lactase in your milk that comes from other species. This is a means for you to test the waters by being water yourself. Usually, I would bring to this sacred circle sacred text, but I deeply believe today that it is means for something more to show and prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are water, I'm told that I cannot be heard. Just a moment.
Yeah, so you just cut off approximately 20 seconds. You froze for a second.
Okay, I will go back. And the reason why is actually because of an internet connection that is intermittent. Guess what? Due to it raining right now. How ironic. But that the idea should be tested, to be shown and proved, because how can we have evidence if we do not have an experiment? That said, this is my experiment. It is raining now. I have buckets outside, which are collecting water. Once it is finished raining, I have enough sodium bicarbonate and a few other chemicals, well, certain items, I'll say, that helps to purify the water enough to be drinkable in human consumption. This same water, which will not be treated, will be used upon my wife's hair to continue the growth and fortification of such. If what is being said is correct, I will fall ill in some way, shape, or form. And my wife's hair will be depleted of certain proteins. We have tests for this. There are litmus paper tests that you can choose to use to see how alkaline your water is. Those strips, I beg you to take those strips and place them into 5 different bottles of water that they say is drinkable, and show yourself what color, whether it is more on the alkaline end or the acidic, it appears. Which, if it comes more on the acidic end, is also not drinkable. I will end with this before I allow Eli to more than just elaborate, because I am also learning with him just as he is with me. When I say be water, my friends, I am saying that we, if given the time to adapt to our surroundings the way we are intended to, will not just survive the drinking of drinking water, of rainwater for drinking methods. We will thrive when we test the waters of those who try to trouble it and prove them wrong. For there are more carcinogenics in your average potato chip than there is in anything that comes out of nature, no matter what man has done to it. We must manifest it, that this water is to be blessed, not just through our faith, but through our works, and we will be well. Now, to those who pray and do not do the work, they will be hurt. To those who do all of the work, but are pessimistic in their mind, they have already cursed the water to do exactly what those news reporters are saying that it will do to you, because you choose to believe in that instead of yourself. And this is the test. And yes, this is only a test, but nonetheless, it is a test I will take and I will give update on in the coming weeks. I now allow the floor to embrace Eli's thoughts on this subject. I am greatly intrigued.
Blessings. How was my tone? I was a little loud the last time. Is it okay? Also, I want to express this. My apologies. I tend to forget. When I was younger, I learned how to debate words and concepts in four different angles, coming from four different perspectives, all simultaneously in my head. And as I listen to myself, again, my apologies, I fully don't explain what I'm trying to say because I have my thoughts running extremely fast and multiple thoughts at the same time. So I hope I can slow down and fully explain the words and the concepts I mean. Because prior to this, I will listen to myself and say, oh, I know they, you know, even just now, just that, how I cut myself off to mention something else. So hopefully I can slow down a little bit and fully express the concept that I'm trying to express. So we are talking about water, the blessing water, and the reality that we live in. Okay. There are approximately 300 plus million Americans. I'm looking at the scientificamerica.com. It says scientists estimated that more than 200 million people, the majority of Americans, have tap water contaminated with a mixture of capital P, capital F, capital O, capital A, and PFS, PFOS at concentrations of 1 part per million or higher. Another website, science.org, it says in any given year from 1982 to 2015, between 1 million and 45 million Americans got their drinking water from a source that was in violation of the Safe Drinking Water Act. Something else I would like to look at. I am reading Harvard Health Publishing from Harvard Medical School. It speaks about the increasing levels of kidney stones. Remember, as scientists, we measure the laws of cause and effect. So, yes, you may not necessarily have to die, but the hospitals and medications and the pharmaceutical companies are waiting for new patients. Remember, Satan is something else. You may not die today, but guaranteed their doors are open waiting for some aspect of you to fall apart. And when one thing fall apart, there's a domino effect. Okay, now something is going on with my cell phone, of course, but you guys can look it up. It's it was published in 2016. Oh man, the cell phone. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can hold it. But basically, it's talking about the rise of kidney stones. Let me see if I can find something else. I wanted to read something else dealing with uh let me see if it's gonna load up or it went through. It was something else I wanted to read about water. Um well, I will go into this. Something that Brother Michael already mentioned and I like to show sources. So whenever you have time, you can look it up yourself. Many years ago, you and I heard about a Japanese doctor named Momoto, Emoto, and water consciousness. And Dr. Momoto's experiment involved exposing glasses of water to various words, pictures, and music, then freezing the water and examining the frozen crystals under a microscope. So, the reason why I like to show sources of anything that I have an opinion on, because when you're dealing with scientists, any books on any level, you must show a source so they can look at and examine. Because again, the individual opinion is okay, but there's nothing wrong with having multiple opinions, especially from those who may have an expertise in that particular subject. So Momoto, if you look up his name, last name is Emoto, you will see crystals looking beautiful when the word love was attached to the bottle or prayer. So we know water is conscious. So if water is conscious, let's look at the percentages of water in the body. So according to H&H Mitchell, Journal of Biological Chemistry, it says 158, the brain and heart are composed of 73% of water, and the lungs are about 83% of water. The skin contains 64% of water. Muscles and kidneys are 79% of water. And even the bones are watery, approximately 31%. Let's think about that. If the heart and brain is 73%, the lungs are about 83%. That is frightening. And again, I have to wait till my computer unfreezes. I'm going to just speak about that, ladies and gentlemen. If 73% of your brain is water and 83%, almost all of your lungs are water, when God says he will hand you over to a reprobate mind, how is it possible if you're willing to smoke a cigarette or marijuana or anything that is at a high temperature, basically boiling point, when you consume that and it goes into something that is 83% water, your 73% water is contaminated with insanity. You are contaminated. Let's prove examples. If I am a common human, if I am an adult, I am outside playing some cards or looking at the flowers, and if I just so happen to turn around and see smoke coming out of my windows from the kitchen, I believe I will run in to see where the smoke is coming from. If I was driving my vehicle and all of a sudden at the red light, I saw smoke coming from the engine seeping through the hood, I don't believe I will continue to drive. I will pull over to see what is wrong with my engine. If I am baking something in the oven And if I see smoke coming out the oven, I don't think I would take a nap or allow the oven doors to remain closed. As a conscious being, from learning, past experiences, knowing that something might be wrong with the food in the oven. So I need to open the door. And pretty much all the water have been evaporated. So how is it possible if I was really sane and 73% of my brain is thinking properly? How is it possible I'm going to use something that is 83% water when my mind showed me that when I see smoke, it may indicate danger or trouble? Why would I consume trouble? Another example from past experiences is when you take a first hit of a cigarette or something, you cough. So water is important. And since 200 million or more people are drinking water, that the water, I want to quote it properly, that's my motto, that the, where'd you go? Uh-oh. It was a group that I was talking about. Oh, okay, here we go. Okay. According to the Safe Drinking Water Act that we are consuming. Now, that is true. Most humans do not drink water. We drink Kool-Aid, we drink sodas, we drink alcohol. This is frightening because alcohol, I think it dehydrates you. So we are dealing with humans. Most of their food have a lot of salt in it, which consumes water. Then they drink sodas and alcohol that consumes more water. Then they may smoke, which consumes more water. Then they don't replenish the water that is consumed. And that is why someone said the beginning of all illnesses is from dehydration. Now, I would like to look up how long will it take for the tongue to absorption. And I may do that on the second one, or maybe Brother Michael could look that up. I want to know how long does it take when you drink some water, good absorbable water, because tap water is not absorbable water. I want to know how long does it take for absorbable water to be replenished back into the brain, the bones, the organs. How long does it take? Because that will show and prove how most people cannot be in their right mind.
According to healthline.com, it says approximately 5 minutes to go throughout the entirety of the body, absorption into the bloodstream. And if it is actually with the additive of any type of medications, it takes longer because that even takes away some of the water. Aspirin, for example, which is a blood thinner, it says it takes even longer than that to absorb it completely because it interferes with hydrogen and oxygen atoms. That's the facts. That's the
Ooh,
evidence.
brother, think about Oh my God, think about that. And that's why when the COVID came, I mean, and because remember, we didn't even go into when the organs be replenished with the
Mhm.
amount of water that they need. We just scratched the surface of the blood, but then it got to go throughout the organs, even the brain. Ooh, this is frightening, brother. I didn't even know. I got my hairs standing up on the back of my neck. Go ahead, brother. I think you want to elaborate a little more. Oh my God.
The only thing that I wanted to say is we are definitely on to something that should be equally frightening to any and everyone that is listening to this cast, wherever you are in the world right now. It is highly important to really pay attention to what we are allowing to absorb into our bodies, onto our bodies. And also, basics. I've always said this is not one word, it's a sentence in an acronym. Before accepting statements, I consider the source. Consider the source who is telling you certain things, which they are healthy or not, which are consumable or not, which are meant for us as human beings or not. Always consider the source. All we are giving are the sources, but always consider them. Please continue, Eli. This is breathtaking stuff for me.
Brother, to elaborate on that, I really don't think I can take a lot of adults seriously because we are not even going deep into the psychological aspect. Because I remember I posted something on Facebook many years ago stating that mental health, I'm a paraphrase, but I'm gonna find it. They said that mental health, most people went to the hospital to be examined for illnesses, for things that mimicked illnesses. I think it was in the billions. I have to look that up. So if most people are going to the hospital dealing with illnesses that doesn't even exist, and water carries thoughts and memory. So if you are not drinking water, matter of fact, let's see how much water. How much, brother Mike? How much water do we need per day? Approximately, just give approximation. Do we need per day?
Approximately per day, there are multiple sources, but approximately per day, we should have no less than 48 ounces of water per day. Now, considering all of the evidence that you have shown, both subjective and objective, due to the subjective being that most people do not drink water. That is a fact. However, it varies in limitations from person to person, but it is stifling of how little water is actually taken into the body. Soda, for example, all sodium, sugar, caramel, and other additives that takes away from water, which makes it actually more addictive to drink, not because of the caffeine, but because the body is actually craving water and you think you are giving it nourishment when you are not. These are lies. There are people that are actually saying that it is safer to drink wine and champagne and liquor than it is water. Now, we understand that in places like Italy, children are given wine because they say the water is so in such a troublesome state that is actually safer in the purification of grapes and fermentation to use wine as a means to drink. it gets so incredibly deep, and I know that we won't have enough time for this in one build, but this is something that is highly important. Please continue.
Yes, sir. Brothers and sisters, I really want you to think about the precision of God. God is precise on everything, galaxies, stars. Matter of fact, they spoke about if we are 1 point something off of this, the earth, the universe, our physical universe wouldn't even exist. So, if that is the case, and if most of our body needs water, and if you eat food with salt and drink sodas and all these other things day in and day out, year in and year out, and even when your cerebral cortex, how the energy travels and how thought connect to the nodes. Oh my goodness. And how the spinal cord cleanses itself when you sleep at night because of water. Man, people are really full of shoot, from the spine to the arteries to the blood to the, oh my God. And the increase of insanity, the increase of the just, we haven't even talked about what is it called, the circadian rhythm, when things digest and absorb at a better time than others. We are so far removed from being human beings or knowing how to exist, how God want us to exist. We are so removed. If you think about what Brother Michael and I have discussed. So, having said that, I hope and pray the words that we are expressed are not offended to anyone's spirit or soul. We are here to just express what we are allowed to express when we are on an internet full of negativity, lies, deceit, and all types of stuff. So we are just presenting our part, even if one person watch it today or 1,000 people watch it next year. We are sending our energy out through the web to the solar system with information, with having the ability to express ourselves with a level of discipline and respect at all times. So thank you guys, and I hope you guys really, I'm gonna speak to myself. I hope I really understand this. Um, and Brother Michael and I, with the help and will of God, will go deeper into something that is so serious. And I did not think we was going to go here, but we allowed the Spirit to move us. And I'm thinking about the smoke and the vapor and all that kind of stuff. So blessings to you all, and have a blessed Sunday. Thank you, Brother Michael.
We will definitely be continuing this conversation because it is important to not just talk about the problem, but also to come up with viable, palatable solutions to these problems. Again, we are not asking for you to take any of these words violently, aggressively in any way. We are here to promote peace and elevation to all who are listening to us. We just happen to care about that elevation in our own experience enough to be in that burning bush, to purify ourselves the best way that we can. And it is that passion for ourselves, is the cup that runneth over, as it is said in the Bible. It spills onto the rest of the table, to others. And just think of that. The only thing that could ever runneth over in a cup is water. Even our words are water. Our attention that we pay is a currency. Everything that is aquatic depends on the sun and the moon to give its time. We'll speak more about that time, about proper absorption in concordance with the lunar cycle and the moon on our next step in this journey. I am definitely looking forward to that. We do have to come to a close, because there is, as Ecclesiastes says, an appointed time and purpose to all things. Our time is precious. For even though we are almost completely of water, our reflection is a light. For the candle cannot complain against the harshness and the darkness. It instead
emits
itself, and then emits to
itself.
That it is everything that it needed.
Never ever needed, yes.
It is the light, and we are the light. And to prove that we are the light and showing and proving in that, by our weekly example, we will show that we do not blow away this candle and turn it into smoke. No, we bring it in. We bring in this manifestation physically into our emotional and metaphysical being, so that we can be the light to others once again. And to prove that we are the light, we take it in. And we prove to the world that we are not harmed. Many blessings abound to all that are here today and forevermore. Blessings.